We're live. Cool. Good morning, District
Okay,
115. I'm sorry.
you're going to get the duplicates again because I haven't got the screenshot off yet.
District 115. I'm sorry.
There you go. Now take it.
There we go.
As I was saying. Good morning, District 115. Good morning to my fabulous co-host, Phyllis Ribby. And good morning to our guest this morning, who we dragged out of bed very, very early. Dana Wall-Oakley. Good morning. How are you?
Doing well, thank you. How are you?
Live and direct from her recording studio in parts unknown. Talking about that before it went live.
East Vegas.
East Vegas. Okay. All righty. So anyway, Dana, thanks so much for agreeing to be interviewed by us. Depends on how you look at it, I suppose. Mm-hmm. And I always ask the following question because I can, and also because I just love hearing the answers. So, how long have you been in Toastmasters, and why in the heck did you ever join our wonderful organization?
I joined in January 2005. So, what is that? 17 years? I'm not sure of the math, but January 2005. My mom had been a Toastmaster for a couple of years, and she was trying to get me to join, and I did. And the reason was I was very shy, I guess is the right word. I couldn't talk to people. I couldn't talk in front of a crowd for sure. And I had very low self-esteem and no self-confidence at all. And Mom finally convinced me to go to her meeting, and it just blossomed from there. Now it has been, 16 or 17 years of experience, but now I've got that self-confidence, that self-esteem in myself to be able to speak to people, first of all, one-on-one. That's a big thing. You think, what? You can't talk to people? I couldn't talk to people. I would go the other way if someone wanted to try to talk to me. I don't do that anymore. And I've talked in front of crowds at the convention, in front of thousands of people now, with no qualms, no problems. So it's not the reason I joined, but that's what I've gotten out of it.
And what is your home club?
Windjammers! We just had a 64-year anniversary celebration. 64 years. Yeah. We had a speech by Lee Horner, who's been a member since 1978. Wow. Which, when you think about it, is a very long time to be a Toastmaster.
It is.
You did bring back many memories yesterday of all the people that have been through Windjammers and gone on to success.
Mm-hmm. So Dana, you've obviously been through a lot of speeches in your time in Toastmasters. You've also taken on leadership positions and such, and I'm sure will continue to in the years to come. And your husband, Jesse, is for those who don't know, was elected to the board of directors at the International Convention a couple of weeks ago. So way to go, Jesse.
Yeah.
So, go ahead, please.
Interestingly enough, he started in Toastmasters through a speechcraft that was sponsored by Windjammers at UNLV.
Wow.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yep.
Interesting. So tell us about your leadership journey, because we talk a lot about speeches, and we should, but always curious to learn about a member's leadership journey and really what you've gotten out of it thus far, the leadership side. Kind of a broad question.
It is kind of a broad question. I'll tell you what, though, getting into leadership. Now, when I joined, I was green. I was afraid. Within a month, I was asked to be secretary of the club. And I said, okay, that sounded simple enough. So I was secretary right away. And I think that's what really helped the growth and the confidence, because now I was doing something for the club, and I have been an officer of that club, or I'm in 4 clubs right now, and I'm an officer in all 4 clubs. I never looked back. I've continued to be an officer of one sort or another, up and down the ranks, all of them, sometimes 2 at once. I right away, within a couple of years, I was asked to be a chief judge for a division. And that division director wanted me to be deeply involved with her team. So she had me come to her monthly meetings. She had me go to the trainings with her. I was new. I didn't know that I didn't have to. So I just said sure, and I went along. But I'll tell you what, it really helped my growth. And being a division chief judge right off the bat, I was at every area contest. I got to learn all about all these different clubs and meet all these different people and be in charge of, if you've ever been a chief judge, you know how you have to be organized. And then you have to know what you're talking about when you're explaining the ballots to judges. So I think that really did help catalyze the growth to where I went, oh, I want to do more. I want to do more. And so then I was an area governor, which it was governor back then. And I'm district, it's called administration manager now. But this is the 3rd time that I've been district secretary. This year I'll be district secretary, and I have been twice before. So into leadership, yes, I've done all kinds of things. And you're right, I will continue because I like to be of service. I like to get out there and meet everybody and be a part of things. As you can see I do behind the scenes stuff really well. I like to be behind the scenes.
Okay.
And the kind of jobs that I've been doing, I feel like are the behind the scenes type jobs.
The best place to do mentoring, behind the scenes. But you did not mention, I think, one of your best leadership qualities, and that was when you were co-chair for the international conference.
Yes,
Call of Duty.
2015, when we had the international convention in Las Vegas. Yes, Jesse and I were co-chairs for that. And that was a huge organizational undertaking, and dealing with hundreds of people that were volunteers, organizing who we were having volunteer, what team they would be on, where they would go, and when. That was all part of what I did. And Jesse was our face, talking to everybody and organizing everybody coming in, and then I would take him and go, okay, you're going to volunteer, here's where you're going. You want to volunteer, here's where you're going. So we decided together what team they would be on and when and where they were going to go at the actual convention. I think it helped make the convention run so smoothly, even though I felt a little chaotic sometimes.
Well, you certainly meet many people.
Yes.
I was one of your chair people, and it was like, I don't think I know anybody that's on my list. So you get to know people and find out that they're all just like your friends in your local meeting. They're all lovable people willing to help. So it was a great, great conference, and you two did a fabulous job.
Thank you.
We have a couple visitors today. Jennifer is with us, Jennifer Smith, and
Jennifer.
Carol Raymond. She comes to us, from Washington, although she is a member of Linguists Toastmasters here in Las Vegas. So good morning to both of them. Thank you for commenting. I want to talk about your new position as the wife and international director. I've never really known. Is that take place in January, or when you're elected, you are the person? Just right now, it takes over.
Yes, you are the person. There were immediate things. Like the convention ended Saturday, Sunday and Monday. Jesse had board things to do. Training and there was a gathering of the spouses, which was really great. We had a lot of fun. But there's being the wife of the board member, now the board members have a lot of things that they're not allowed to talk about. He can't tell me things. So he just has to say, I have a meeting. I can say, how did it go? He can say, fine. And that's pretty much it. I think that's why there's a support system. If I get a little like, he's frustrated, but I don't know why, or he's having a great day, and that's a good thing.
Share.
He can't share. That's one of the things with the board, is there's things going on that are confidential. They're not allowed to talk about, even with the spouse. So
Interesting.
yeah, exactly. So it's a slight adjustment, but at the same time, I just have to make sure that he's got what he needs, keep him happy, you know, clean clean socks and a good dinner. Although I have to say he does most of the laundry, so good.
Now, now, Dana, the campaign for that for Jesse was obviously very intense and quite frankly time consuming. I can only imagine.
Yes.
Uh, when he decided to, I don't know the entire process, not having been through it myself, but
Hmm.
when he decided to go for this role,
Hmm.
um, what was it the way you envisioned it, or was there any way to envision the kind of commitment and what was involved with it?
There's there's a let me say that kind of.
Okay.
I kind of had a vision because Jesse had been campaign manager for somebody a few years before.
Oh, okay.
And so I was all by his side. I didn't help him as much as I did this time. But I had seen the process from afar. And I knew that there were going to be weekly meetings, at first monthly meetings, then weekly meetings, and then practicing and sending out brochures and contacting people. Now, this time was completely different because the last time we helped on a campaign, there were no interviews by Zoom prior to the convention.
Hmm.
This year, he got to do almost all of his trio interviews ahead of time in the months leading up to the convention by Zoom or GoToMeeting. They actually had him, they gave him a calendar that people could go online and go, okay, I want this time. And he would say, okay. And they would have a GoToMeeting, which really helped. Last time we had on site, we had to be there by Saturday, and we had interviews all day long, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Well, not Monday and Tuesday they had training, but after their training, Monday and Tuesday, they would come over until like 10 o'clock at night, and then Wednesday. So it was much more intense the last time we helped with a campaign. This time it was, but not as much, because we had a schedule on site, but it was only Wednesday and Thursday, and not even the whole day. But leading up to it, we did have intense meetings where we practiced with him for the candidate showcase, for trio interviews, for his 2-minute speech in the business meeting. We needed to make sure that he was comfortable enough and confident enough in his answers that he could just answer when, and he had some people come along with him on the trio interviews. So we took turns like watching in the trio interviews, and he did very well, and I think that's what pushed him over the edge. And then his 2-minute speech in the business meeting was, we practiced that a lot, and I think he had it down. So, and everybody, we got really good feedback of the teams coming up to us during the week of the convention, how they really like Jesse. He's personable, and yeah.
Yeah.
So it was intense. It was time consuming. That's over now, and now he just has board meetings.
Well, the one thing I do recall, we did obviously the trio. We interviewed the candidates for the board,
Hmm.
and the one thing I recall is that obviously you're interviewing people from all over the world,
Hmm.
and scheduling and finding time can be a struggle because it's whatever time it is here in Las Vegas, but you might be interviewing somebody in China or interviewing
Right.
somebody
Right.
in Australia.
Australia, yes,
And
exactly.
I have to imagine that that took some getting used to, some planning, and he was up at all hours at
Mm-hmm.
times taking
Mm-hmm.
care of these things. So what was that like for you as the spouse? I mean, just briefly.
I got to sleep through it.
That's a simple answer. I like that.
Yeah,
All right.
I'm used to him being up early, and generally he'll just he'll kind of shake me a little bit, let me know that he's up,
Yeah.
and then I go back to sleep and he does his thing.
Okay.
So I didn't have to be involved with every meeting.
Yeah.
And if I could have, if I had to, I could have.
Right.
I work from home now, you can see, so I do have a flexible schedule, except for Wednesday mornings when I have windjammers.
Right.
And I could have. He was a little bit more independent than, he did a lot of things on his own,
Right.
which it shows the strength of his character, I think.
Hmm. Very nice.
Yeah.
So getting back to Dana, um, you're obviously taking on another district role this year.
Yes.
And I'm just curious from the previous roles you've had,
Hmm.
sometimes leadership works out wonderfully, sometimes things happen,
Hmm.
and it's a learning experience. So
Mm.
coming into the brand new year, it's September 1st. Anything that you are bringing into your new Toastmasters year in your role as a district leader,
Mm.
anything you're bringing into it that maybe you learned from past years that didn't go quite as you planned.
This year being district secretary, now that is a position where you're at all of the meetings and taking notes. It's not much different than being secretary of a club, only there's a lot more information, and I feel it's important information that needs to be taken down. In the past, I've struggled a little bit with writing quickly enough, and I this year have decided that I'm going to pre-create the form that I can just fill in the blanks. I should have learned that before, because I do that with windjammers being secretary. We have a form, and I've talked about this at my secretary trainings at TLI. I have a quick, easy, fill in the blank type form so that when you're taking minutes, it's quicker, it's easier. You don't have to write every single thing. I have before done recordings, but they don't usually come out all that well. uh, it might be easier this time with the recording if we're doing what they call a hybrid or a streaming. Then I could have access to the recording and listen back to it to see if I missed anything. So that is something that we're bringing into this year that's new, that could be extremely helpful,
Mm.
is having an access to that actual recording of the meeting. And maybe I
Cool.
won't have to stress so much, because if I do miss something, I can listen back and go, oh, okay, that's what I didn't hear.
Uh,
I think it'll be
so
good.
Say that her secretary report for clubs have probably made it through all of Las Vegas. I know I have given it to many people. I
Mhm.
include it with my forms to send to new clubs. So it's a great, great crib sheet. Fill in the blanks and you're ready to go.
Yep. Yep.
so permission to brag time, Dana.
Yeah.
For the benefit of the new members of District 115, uh, in your opinion, your greatest leadership success to date.
That is that's an interesting question, because which leadership position? I will have to say that the greatest accomplishment was actually my first high performance leadership project, which was the planning of my wedding.
Mhm.
Uh, when Jesse and I got engaged on Christmas Day 2009, we knew that our wedding day was going to be July 1st, 2012, which would be the first day of his term as district governor. So we had a long time to plan, and I thought, how perfect. I have to plan this huge event. It's a project. And I had teams and team leaders, and I did the project the way you're supposed to, with the meetings and the gatherings and the budget, all of that stuff. I followed the high performance leadership project. And so as a leader, accomplishing my distinguished Toastmaster as I got married, I think was the greatest accomplishment. And who better to be married to? We've been married 10 years now. We've known each other 14 years, and we met through Toastmasters. So,
There you go.
yeah, when you talk about a Toastmaster leadership, that I think is the best accomplishment.
Fabulous day, really fabulous.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, I think that there's a perception, at least I had this perception that what's now I think called the DTM project, back
Yeah.
a while ago it was the high performance leadership project,
Mm-hmm.
that needs to be something like really, really, really grandiose, like you're doing something
Mm-hmm.
really real affecting your community or something, which you can do certainly.
Yeah.
But it can also be planning your wedding or
Mm-hmm.
your year as a district officer, that as well.
Yes.
And I think it's a really great opportunity. So kudos to you for that.
It does specifically say now of helping in the community.
Yeah.
We had over 200 people at the wedding, and of those 200 people, I would say 190 of them were Toastmasters.
Right.
It was a Toastmaster event, essentially.
Right. Cool.
Yeah.
So just briefly, Dana, what are you hoping to get out of this next year? Not only within Toastmasters in a professional sense, but maybe even personally. What do you hope to get out of your next year within district leadership?
Within district leadership, more, I would say, focus and organization. I'm a procrastinator. So if I don't have a firm deadline and somebody going, okay, this is due, where is it? I tend to put things off. As district admin manager, I don't really have the luxury of doing that. I have to be at the meeting. I have to get the minutes done within a timely manner. You saw before we started, I had all these piles of papers that I was moving around. My goal this year, and I've started what's called a habits game through a friend of mine, where you have a spreadsheet and certain goals to accomplish every day during a 2-week period to create a habit. And so I've joined that so that I can create those habits of, okay, you're going to work at your desk, you're going to turn the TV off, you're going to be organized, you're going to focus. I'm working on not only getting into the voice acting business, I'm writing a book. So I want to focus on working on my book as well. And I got Darren LaCroix's 17 Minutes to Your Dream book. I've just about finished reading that. He had a workshop that I went through. It's really galvanized me to focus and organize and set the timer and make sure you're working at least 17 minutes or more and having an accountability partner. So my goal is to finish that book by the end of the year and to be organized. And I also want to get some voice acting jobs where I'm actually making some money.
That'd be kind of cool.
Yes, it would.
That would be cool. So, distinguished Toastmaster, past district governor, director Phyllis Tribby, any final question or questions for our fabulous guest, Dana?
Dana, what are your desires in future leadership? Are we going to see you as growth director one of these days?
I'm still on the fence about that. I did try to go for that a couple of years back and didn't get through the interview because I wasn't feeling it. But yes, I do have, and I don't want to say when I feel settled, I'd like to go for it because my goal is to be a district director one of these days. I just don't feel like my brain is in a space where I can do that right now. And I don't know what it'll take. Maybe you just have to do it without feeling like you're ready for it. But I want to do it service. I don't want to just get through the year. I want to be able to do it well. And maybe it's just building a team around me that I know will help me through it. So
You
yeah,
had great experience. Yes, you will do a wonderful job. And maybe you're right. It's saying yes and then making it
make
happen.
it happen. It's a little scary, so
Well, Dana,
friends, you'll do it.
yeah.
Dana, I can tell you from firsthand experience when I was basically asked to take the club growth director position. I was interviewing for another position within the district that I had done previously with District 53 in upstate New York. And don't hold that against me, upstate New York, that
No,
part.
not at all.
But anyways, I was, have you considered the trio? And I'm like, well, number one, what's the trio? I didn't know that term, and then they told me what it was, and then they said we need a club growth director, and I said, okay, I still don't know what you're talking about, but all right. And what do you think it involves? And I says, well, by the name of it, I'm growing clubs. I don't know what else to say about that.
Right.
And they said, yeah, that's right. And I said yes, and got a lot of support from Gene and Ken at the beginning of actually before the official year began in July. Had got a lot of support from Ken and Gene, and here I am, and I'm helping Phyllis host Wake Up with Toastmasters, which is awesome.
Pretty cool.
And interviewing wonderful people like yourself. So I would definitely consider it on your end. We both think you would make an outstanding one. There's absolutely no question in our minds about it. So you got our vote.
Cool.
All right. All right. So
someday. Yeah.
Someday. You know that's not a day of the week, right? Anyways. All right. No,
Yes.
that's an old joke. Very way overused. But one final question, Dana. Somebody who is thinking of joining Toastmasters or is brand new and maybe they just joined a week ago, what would you tell them about what to expect from their journey, and one bit of advice for them if you can come up with just one?
If I can come up with just one little bit of advice about your journey, enjoy it. Yeah. Say yes. Do what makes you afraid and do it anyway, and you will get through it. My very first table topics response was 30 seconds of silence. I shook and I said one word, but I stood for the 30 seconds and then I sat down. I've obviously grown from there. Just doing it helps you get through it.
That's really profound. I like that. That is
Thanks.
Really profound.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Phyllis, any last words before we call it another great episode of Wake Up with Toastmasters?
Well, we want to thank Dana so much for coming and joining us and remind people about the enrichment night, educational enrichment night, which will be the second Saturday of every month at 6 o'clock. And don't forget game night, the last Saturday of the month at 6 o'clock. Your newsletter should be out from Ken, so look for all the dates and have a wonderful week and a fantastic holiday.
Oh, yeah.
Bye-bye. Have a great Labor Day, everybody.
Thanks. I had a great time.
Thank you, Dana.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
Bye.